Theseus went to Crete to fight with the Minotaurus. And he successfully won the fight. And in his way back to Athens, he stopped in Delos to offer something to Deus Apollo for this success. And apparently from this long trip that they had from Crete to Delos, there was nothing else left other than beans. Okay. So this is the first mention that they prepared like this bean stew and offered it to Apollo.
Welcome back to Science on the Menu. In this episode, we will be discussing a group of substances called lectins. They can be beneficial to plants, but also quite harmful to humans. To help us understand this topic a bit better, I'm joined today by Irini Kulura, scientist in EFSA's contaminants team. Welcome, Irini. Nice to have you.
Nice to be here, Maria. Thanks a lot for inviting me.
My first question for you is, what are lectins and why do we care about them?
So lectins, as you mentioned, is a diverse group of proteins. They bind specifically to carbohydrates. So lectins naturally are produced by plants in order, like as a part of their defense mechanisms, are protecting plants from pests and other pathogens. Okay. However, in this sense, they are harmful sometimes for humans.
Okay. In which foods exactly do we find the lectins?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have lectins almost everywhere. We have them in plants and other organisms as well, in, let's say, fungi, in marine organisms. Like all organisms have lectins, but specifically plants, lectins in several, let's say, parts. So we find lectins seeds, the fruits, in leaves. So we can find lectins in all plant-based food. Some examples, yeah. So in legumes, in grains, in vegetables, in fruits, everywhere you can find lectins.
Okay. All of these lectins equal? Are they all the same?
That's a good question. So no. Reply is no. So all those lectins are not the same. We have some lectins, some types of lectins, which bind specifically to simple carbohydrates, such as glucose, mannose, galactose, which are also ingredients of the food. There are, on the other side, some other lectins which bind specifically to those complex glycans, which are present, for instance, on the surface of the cells. One example is the cells that we have in our gastrointestinal tract. As a result, when we ingest them, and they are in their active form, they bind to those cells and they create some side effects, let's say some adverse effects in humans. To name some, nausea, gastrointestinal pains, diarrhea, or even immune effects, which may be, let's say, local inflammation in the gastrointestinal tract.
Okay, I see. Sounds a bit scary, I must be honest. Maybe to make it a bit more understandable for myself mainly, but also for our viewers and listeners, I've brought a few things here with me, some food items. So I brought some bananas. We have here these 3 beautiful onions.
Fantastic.
And last but not least, some kidney beans. So seeing them here like this, what can you tell me about these 3 items? What do they have in common?
They have in common that all contain lectins.
Okay.
However, as we described before, there are different types of lectins. So here we can group them in one group, let's say the harmless lectins that we have in bananas and in onions. This means we can eat them raw and nothing will happen. Whereas here we have, this is a kidney bean.
I really wanted to come to you.
Exactly. This is a raw kidney bean. And even a small amount of those raw kidney beans may cause all those adverse effects that we described in humans. However, as we do traditionally, we will process them appropriately by soaking them, cooking them for a long time, and then those lectins are destroyed, and then there is no side effect, like adverse effect for humans.
Okay. So, yeah, important food, essential food doesn't mean we should not eat kidney beans, let's say, or beans or legumes. but the preparation method is the key component there.
Correct. Of course, they are very essential for our nutrition, legumes. However, it's important, and I think we all know that we cannot eat them raw.
Yeah.
So, we have a lot of preparation methods, and by following all those, let's say, traditional or even less traditional preparation methods, we make sure that what we eat is safe.
Great. I would like to stay on this topic for a bit longer because there's actually a lot of information and sadly also misinformation out there when it comes to lectins and preparation and so on and so forth. So I've done a bit of research. I've collected the most common questions or statements, and I was hoping you would help us out to understand whether they're true or false. I'm going to mention a few to them. Are you ready?
Great. Okay. Let's try to give some clearance.
Okay. The first one is that soaking for a longer period of time or fermenting the product reduce the lectin levels in food.
For sure. That's correct. And as we mentioned just previously, all those traditional and non-traditional preparation methods lead to the reduction or even the elimination of lectins. So soaking is one of those, let's say, traditional methods. And what is happening with soaking is that we have the water entering the seed.
Okay.
It activates all some enzymes that they are present in the seeds, and those enzymes break down lectins.
Okay.
At the same time, while soaking, we have the water entering the seed, and then the lectins, which are water soluble, can leach out the seed and go to the soaking water. And then, of course, we eliminate the soaking water and the lectins with it.
Okay, yes, we don't use the same water to soak and boil afterwards. Yeah.
It wouldn't be recommended.
Okay, not recommended. Staying still on the topic of soaking is a big part of the preparation. Adding a pinch of baking soda to the soaking water will reduce the lectin content as well.
That's a good one. In fact, this is a tip I learned from my grandma. So she was always recommending to add a pinch of baking soda. And I was also wondering what is happening when I started working on this mandate. In fact, what is happening is that it makes, let's say, the soaking process faster.
Okay.
The pH of the soaking water is elevated, and then the skin of the beans gets decomposed more easy, and then of course the lectins can leach out the seeds faster. So let's say it's an accelerated tip to soak our beans better.
Okay, great. It's amazing how these processes are taking place where you just leave your beans or legumes to soak somewhere in the kitchen counter and all these things are happening. That's great. Leaving a bit soaking behind us, the next topic mentioned very often was that removing peels and seeds is also a way to remove lectins.
Yes, this one, let's say, depends. It depends really on the fruit or legume that we are talking about. There are, in some cases, lectins are accumulated in one part, let's say, of the fruit or the vegetable. One example is apples, for instance. We know that the lectins, the apple lectins are concentrated in the seeds, and seeds is, let's say, one part of the apple that we don't eat. So, by, let's say, removing the seeds, then we don't get exposed to lectins in this case.
The next one I find personally quite interesting. So, lighter preparation techniques, such as, for example, steaming, actually help preserve the flavor of the food and also help preserve the vitamin content of the food. What do you think about that one?
Well, this is a difficult one. So lighter preparation can be suitable for some cases, but not for all cases. So, for instance, for legumes, light preparation is not suitable because we know that we have lectins and we need, let's say, those long times to prepare them or efficient ways to prepare them in order to get rid of those lectins. I would here mention, let's say, our ancestors. I think those are traditional, let's say, recipes that they have been created since ages. And I'm pretty sure that those ancestors have tried different preparation methods. And there is a reason why we prepare them like this and not, let's say, faster. So I'm sure they have tested several things.
It's logic.
We need to prepare them a bit, thoroughly in order to make them safe.
Indeed. This discussion of preparation and cooking and boiling and steaming made me a bit hungry, which leads me also to the next question. Given that we're approaching the end of the year, it's getting a bit cold outside, I was wondering if you have a go-to comfort meal during the winter months. And also, most importantly, how do you make sure this go-to meal is prepared safely?
Very nice question. So the first thing that comes into my mind is traditional Greek food.
Okay.
That we used to cook during winter. It's called fasolada, bean stew, let's say. So we stay in the area in the topic of lectins. So we have the beans. And in contrary to other countries, we prepare it without any meat. So it's only beans that we need to soak overnight and then cook them for a long time. So usually we cook them for 1.5 hours, 2 hours to prepare the fasolada. And this is a very nice comfort food for winter that comes into my mind. And now discussing about this, the myth about this fasolada comes into my mind. So this fasolada was first mentioned in ancient Greece. So this comes apparently from Theseus. Theseus went to Crete to fight with the Minotaurus. And he successfully won the fight. And in his way back to Athens, he stopped in Delos to offer something to Deus Apollos for this success. And apparently from this long trip that they had from Crete to Delos, there was nothing else left other than beans. So this is the first mention that they prepared like this bean stew and offered it to Apollon. I hope Theseus managed to cook them for a long time and soak them for a long time.
With the divine help, it was done correctly.
So probably this is when they realized how long they need to cook and prepare the beans before eat them.
We come back to our ancestors, don't we? And the traditional methods of preparation and the knowledge that comes from them. Okay, thanks very much, Irini, for sharing this nice story, for sharing this nice recipe, and most importantly, for sharing your expertise with all of us on this topic. Good luck with the work you're doing in this area for EFSA.
Thank you so much, Maria. It was a pleasure talking to you and wish you all the best for this winter season.
Thank you. Thank you very much also to our viewers and listeners. Remember, you can catch all episodes of Science on the Menu, wherever you get your podcasts. My name is Maria. It was a pleasure to be your host today, and I hope to see you next time on Science on the Menu.